17, verse 15. Vayomer Elokim el Avram. God says to Avram, Sarai Yishtaka, lo tikra Shema Sarai. Don't call her name Sarai anymore. Ki Sarah Shema. Her name is now Sarah. What does Sarah mean? Sarah means a princess of God. Saria. Rashi says, Tamashma Sarai. Sarai means my governor, meaning a governor for me, but not for others. But her name will be Sarah. She is the princess over all. She is Shatei Sarah Alakol. She's the princess over everyone. Says the next verse. Uverachti Osa. Well, let me just, I know we always do Rashi here. Well, let me just very briefly pull up this Balaturim, because the Balaturim, see what he says in that, because Balaturim is always very good about the letters moving about. So let me just see if he comments on it. Let's just see if he comments. Chapter 17, verse 15. No, he doesn't comment on it. Doesn't. I thought for sure he would, but he didn't. Okay. He says, Uberachti Osa, and I will bless her, V'gam nesatemi men Lecha, Ben. And I will also give you a son through her. Uberachtia, V'aita legoyim malchei amim mimena you. And then I will bless her, and she will give rise to the nations. Malchei amim. The nations, the kings of the people will rise from her. Who's going to be born to Sarah's Isaac? Let's see what Rashi says. Uveirachti osa, and I will bless her. Umayi abracha. What is this blessing? Shechazra narusa. She reverted to her youth. As it states, Paisali adna. I have delicate skin. So what's the blessing? She was blessed that she reverted to her youth. Uveirachtia. Rashi says, Bahanakas shadayim. I will bless her that she will be able to nurse again when she's in need of this. And what was the day where Sarah was told to be a wet nurse? Biyom Mishdesh al Yitzchak. The day that Isaac was weaned, and they threw a party for him. The people were slandering Abraham and Sarah, and they were saying, it is our son. Meaning to say, the people were saying that they claimed that Isaac Sarah was not conceived from Abraham, but was Sarah, but was basically a child that they found in the marketplace. Because all of a sudden she's 90, he's 99, all of a sudden they had a child. So Abraham and Sarah were saying, it's our son. So every woman at that day brought their child but didn't bring her nurse. She nursed all of their children, and it says Hinika vanim Sarah. And so that's what happened. So that's what it means. I blessed her that she became able to return to her youth, and I will bless her that she will be able to nurse all the children. Yes.
So, I mean, besides being an awesome person, was there something specific that invoked this blessing on her?
Well, this was a promise to Abraham. God is going to keep the covenant alive through Abraham and Sarah.
Okay.
So that's the idea. That's the idea. Verse 17. Vayipol Avraham al panav. Abraham falls on his face. Vayitzchak, and he laughed. Vayomer b'libo, and he says in his heart, Halaven me'ah shanim yivaled v'imsar abat tishim shana tiled. So Abraham falls on his heart and he laughs, and he says, "Well, I give birth at 100, and will Sarah give birth at 90?" Now Rashi all of a sudden tells us we have a problem. Because below chapter 18, verse 12, when Sarah laughs, she gets rebuked by God. And God says to Abraham, why has Sarah laughed? And he rebukes her. And here, when Abraham laughs, he's not rebuked. It says, God says, nothing to him. So why, when Sarah laughs, is she rebuked, but when Abraham laughs, is he praised? So Rashi tells us right away. Unclus translates it over here. Lashon simcha v'chadi. Ushon translates it as chadi, meaning simcha, an expression of rejoicing. And by Sarah, it's called machok, laughter, meaning to say, here Abraham was laughing in rejoicing, and there she was laughing in like a cynical manner, in a scoffing manner. So Avram ha'amin v'samach v'sara lo amina v'leglaga. Avram believed and he rejoiced. Sarah did not believe and she scoffed. V'zeu shehikpid HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this is why God was upset about Sarah but not at Abraham. So there's two ways to laugh. You can laugh in joy or you can laugh in cynicism. Abraham was laughing in joy, and Sarah was cynical at that moment. So that's the difference.
Or just disbelief. So
Rashi says, Sarah Sarah did not believe v'liglaga, and she was scoffing at it.
okay.
So she was a scoffer. So what does it mean? Avram says at 100 years old will I give birth? Rashi says, hello there, Moshe. Hello there. Hello there. What do you got there? What do you got? Not the soup?
Not the soup. It's a lot of dinner.
All right.
It's great.
It's a pumpkin.
I just look shocked.
Yeah, it's a beautiful soup. So he says, what does it mean? He says, Yesh mute, there are astonishments, Shein Kayamos, which exist. Kamo Anagoni Goisi have I revealed. So too this is astonishment. He says, has such kindness been done for any other person, that which God is doing to me? Means the Rashi is interpreting Abraham's questioning and laughing, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. He wasn't mocking, he was rejoicing. He wasn't questioning, he was expressing in astonishment. And that's why he's different than Sarah. And that's what he says about Sarah. Sarah's a woman of 90 years old. Haita kedai le'leid. She's been found worthy of giving birth, even though in the earlier generations, they would give birth at the age of 500 years old. And in the days of Abraham, the years have already been reduced, Rashi says. Uva tashut koach olam. And man's strength was weakened. So, learn from 10 generations from Noach to Am, they gave birth at a young age. B'nai Shloshim, B'nai Shivim, at the age of 30 to 70. Hello there, my friends. Hello there. I know it's a challenge for you today, so thank you.
You
Thank
have
you.
30, Rabbi? We have
Thank you.
60 here.
It
Samech.
says B'nai Shloshim and B'nai Shivim, from the age
So
of
we
30
have
to
it
70.
in, I'm saying we have it in letters here. B'nai Samech, B'nai Ayin. So just wondering. Just makes more sense also, 60 or 70 as opposed to 30 or 70.
No,
I'm just saying, maybe Sapphira has a different version. That's all I'm just saying.
yeah. They have here the footnote, Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Hello, Elon. Good to see you, my friend. Do you have the Chumash? Perfect. For chapter 17, verse 18. Vayomer Avraham El HaElokim. And Avram says to God, Will Yishmael Yachyeh Lefanecha? Let Yishmael live before you. Rashi says, he says, how I wish that Yishmael would live. Eini kedai lekabel matan schar kazeh. I'm not worthy to receive this reward. Yichyeh lefanecha, might he live in fear of you, like walk before me. What's Avram saying to God? What's Avram saying to God at this point? It's a very, very important point. What is Avram saying to God here? What has God just said to Avram? He's going to have a kid. He's going to have a kid to him and Sarah is going to be 90 and Avram's going to be 100. But what does Avram respond? And what's this kid going to be? This kid that Avram that's born to Abraham. What's this kid going to do? What's this kid going to do? He's going to be the king amongst the nations, and kings of people will rise from her. So that's this kid. He's going to be king for the nations. Kings will rise from him. And what's Avram's response? What's Avram's response?
Because he laughed when he fell on his face.
Okay, so we did that. We just did that. You're right. That he rejoiced. He rejoiced and he expressed astonishment. But what is the first thing what does he say out loud? That's what he said in his heart. But what does he say out loud? Yeah, what's he saying when he's saying let Yishmael live before you? What's he in effect saying? Right, Aviva? What's the impact of that message? What's the upshot of that message?
Is he just like saying I already have a son?
What?
Saying like I already have a son?
Exactly, Elon. He's saying, wait, why are you giving me a son who's going to be my heir and run it? I already have a son. I already have a son. Let that son be the heir. I already have a son. Will Yishmael yachya lefanecha? Let Yishmael be that son. I already have a perfectly good son. And let him live in fear of you. Let him be the one. Like walk before me. What's wrong with the son I have? This is a very important life lesson for parents, including myself. It's a very important life lesson. Everybody here in this room is a son or a daughter, or in some ways has served as a parent. Sometimes you think your kid is one thing, God's telling you your kid is something else, but you think your kid is something else. Let's say you want your kid to be extreme example. You say, I want my kid to be an NBA player. God's telling you, your kid's not going to be an NBA player. Your kid's going to be a bus driver. But you say, no, my kid's an NBA player. Your kid has no chance of being an NBA player. So Avram was saying, I got a son. This son is going to be the one who the kings come from. And God's saying, no, you're going to have a son. He said, I already have a son. I have Ishmael. And God's telling him, no, Ishmael is not that son. He's not the covenantal son. So that's what God says to him.
It's also a very deep ideological question, meaning I was under the impression that Ramban, that's why I brought it up, but it doesn't say it very clearly. I was under the impression that Ramban actually criticizes that because he said, Lo Yishmael fanecha, that's why Ishmael has so much power. But Avram may have he obviously he didn't doubt Hashem because he already in Beit Turim agreed and believed in everything. But why is he asking for Ishmael to live? So Rashi says, as long as as long as it's biratecha, right? So it's like, but if not, he's not worthy of living. But Ramban says that no, Hashem said, don't worry. Yes, Yitzchak is the Yoresh, but Ishmael is going to live and will be there for generations as eternally as the people of Israel. And that's scary because he had so much power in his words as the father of our nation. And
yeah, so basically that's a very nice explanation of Ramban. Beautiful. Thank you, Rabbi Yosef. Thank you. Yasha Koach. So Vayomer Elokim, let's see what God responds to Yishmael. God says to him, Aval Sarai Shtecha Yoledet Lecha Ben. Sarah, your wife, will give birth to a son for you, V'karasa Shemo Yitzchak. And you will call his name Yitzchak, V'akimosias Brisito, I will keep up my covenant with him, Bris Olam Uzaro Acharav, for an eternal covenant for his descendants. What's going on here? Rashi says, before we get to Rashi, what's God saying? God's saying, you'll have a child, and the child will be Sarah. The child will be Isaac. It'll be through Sarah. And you'll be eternal covenant. Rashi says, the word aval, God said, aval sarai shtecha. The word aval does not mean but, it means indeed. Indeed. V'karate shemo Yitzchak. You'll call him Yitzchak. Why is he called Yitzchak? Why is this child called Yitzchak? Al Shem Hatzchok, because of laughter. meaning to say because Abraham left and Sarah left. And some say it was called Yitzhak because of the 10 challenges that God subjected Abraham. His name was Tzchak, and they added on the Yud to signify 10. V'tishim shanim shal Sarah, and the 90 years of Sarah. So you have the 10 challenges and the 90 years of Sarah. Ushmona yamim shenimo umea shana shel Avram. So the name Yitzhak stands for Yud is for the 10 trials, Tzadi is for the 90 years of Sarah, Chet is for the fact that he was the first person circumcised on the 8th day, and Kuf is for the 100 years of Abraham that Abraham was when Isaac was born. That's also the type of explanation that we would expect to find in the Baal HaTurim. Let's see if the Baal HaTurim has that one also. The Baal HaTurim is chapter 17 here. He doesn't have that one either. The Baal HaTurim doesn't have that one either. You would expect that to be in the Baal HaTurim. So, yeah.
It strikes me that God chose Sarah to be the mother of Judaism. Because Abraham, he already produced a son.
Right. So the point was right, that it wasn't, God didn't want just a covenantal father, and he didn't want just a covenantal mother. What God wanted was a covenantal family. Wanted a covenantal family. It's yeah. So alternative explanation, Akimoti et Priti. Why does it say I'll keep my covenant? It already says also my covenant you shall keep. So because it says I will uphold between your offspring after you, I might have thought that the children of Yishmael and the children of Keturah are included in the covenant. So the verse says, I will keep my covenant with him, but not with others. So this teaches us that Yitzhak was sacred from the womb. Alternatively, from here, says Rabbi Abba, from here, Yitzhak is derived through Kal V'chomer from Yishmael. It says, I've blessed him and I'll make him fruitful and I'll increase him. That's Yishmael. How much more so will that covenant continue through Isaac? Will he receive even more? I mean to say, if the other nations will be blessed, how much more so will Isaac be blessed? My covenant, Rashi says, is the Brit Milah, Mesuro Lazaro Shel Yitzhak. The covenant of circumcision will be given to the offspring of Isaac. Of course, we know that other faiths also circumcise. It says the verse,
but not on the 8th day.
There are other cultures, I think, I don't know, I think that there are other cultures that circumcise also on the 8th day, but maybe they got it from here. It says, Yishmael Shema Ticha, and by regarding Yishmael, I've heard you. And behold, this is what Rashi was just referring to. So I will bless him. If so, I'll increase him. Or so, Momod, I'll increase him greatly. So this is not, you don't need the Ramban, Rabbi Yosef, to say this. God says, I heard you, and therefore I'll make Yishmael great in numbers. Therefore, because I heard you, I'll make Yishmael great in numbers. Shneimosar Nisiyim Yoid, he'll give birth to 12 princes. Unisativ will Goy Gadol, and I'll make him into a great nation. So of course, Yishmael is the one who has 12 princes, whereas Yitzhak only has 2 kids. So now we understand why there are so many more descendants of Yishmael in the world than descendants of Jacob, because they're one generation above. So if you think about that exponentially, how much more are you going to have? 12 times the amount. That's why there are 12 times the amount. There are more than 12 times the amount of descendants of Yishmael to descendants of Jacob. As Bris Hakim as Yitzhak, and I will maintain my covenant through Isaac. Asher Teled Lecha, Sarah will give birth to you. At this time, B'Shana Acharis, in the next year. 12 princes, Rashi says, they will disappear like clouds. Rashi is telling us these princes are going to disappear like clouds. When he concluded speaking with him, And God left Abraham. Rashi, what is this expression that God went up from Abraham? Rashi says this is an expression of, it's like a euphemism. It's a nice way of speaking. It's teaching us that the righteous are the chariot of God. So God went up from Abraham. Verse 23, Vayikach Avraham et Yishmael beno, and Abraham took Yishmael his son. And Abraham took Yishmael his son. That call Yehudei Beito, and all the offspring of his house. That call Miknat Kaspo, and all the things he had acquired. Kol Zachar b'anshei Beit Avraham, every male from the house of Abraham. Vayimal Pesar Latam, and he circumcised them. That's in the middle of this day, we'll see what that means. Kasher Diberi Toelim, like God spoke with him. What does that mean? Rashi says, on the very day he was commanded, by day and not by night. He was not afraid of the heathens, nor the scoffers. And so the enemy should not say, had we seen him, we would not allow him to perform circumcision, fulfill the commandment of God. We learn from here a very important law, halacha l'maisa, that circumcision has to take place during the day. You're not allowed to do a bris at night, because it says be'etzem hayom hazeh. And also we learn from here that when there's a mitzvah opportunity, you do it right away. Sometimes people say to me, I could come to learning today or tomorrow. I come one day this week. Which day should I come? I always say today. You know why? First of all, the world might be destroyed, so there might not be a tomorrow. So guys will get the mitzvah in. You go lucky. Number two is you always do the mitzvah that comes to you as soon as possible. Don't push off the mitzvah. You have the opportunity to take the mitzvah, do it right then and there. A third reason is, I say come today, because then tomorrow I could always ask again. Now you know how I think, right? What do you think about that? Also, like if you're ever fundraising, somebody asks for something and the person gives you this, you can always ask again. Because if it's something so important, you can always ask again. Okay, we'll just finish that, see if we can finish this chapter. So it says, hold on, Avram ben Tishim Vatesha Shana b'Moro b'Sar also. And Avram was 99 years old when he circumcised himself. What does that mean? Rashi says, Abraham took a knife and he took a hold of his foreskin and he wanted to cut it. But he was afraid because he was old. So what did God do? Hashem sent forth his hand and held Abraham's foreskin together with him. And he cut him with the covenant. So God held Abraham's hand while Abraham gave himself a bris. So God was the Moel.
But sort of, but Abraham did the cutting, right?
Avram did it with God holding his hand.
I remember the first time I gave myself
A bris? Yeah.
No.
Because that's what we're done. Oh, tetanus injection, you just stick the needle in. What's the big deal?
I was there staring for like half an
That just
hour.
makes it worse.
Let me just do this. Last Rashi, it says Yishmael beno ben Shloshis Shana b'Moro Pesaro. Yishmael was 13 when he circumcised himself, but by Avram it doesn't say et. By Avram it just, so what's the difference? Because Abram was lacking just the cutting of the skin, which had already been compressed. But Yishmael was a boy, so he had to actually cut the foreskin and to do the priya. Okay, so anyway, we'll stop here to daven mincha at this time. Baruch Hashem. Who would like to be our leader today? Who's volunteering? All right. Let's do the mincha prayers at this time. Yeah, Shekoch, Devin.
Was Jeff Birch?
Is Jeff Kurtz? Is somebody, whoever they are, they can't see to find them. That's the issue.
No, I think mine all over the place.
One time, there was an award-winning award-winning actor who came to my home for Shabbos, and he left his glasses there. So I was gonna put them on eBay. Ashrei Yotzei Beisach.
Do this.
Okay, we have exactly 10 minutes tonight, so everyone's gotta be in the.
We're not finished, but,
But these boys disappeared. They're coming. Boys! They're not even, also. Guys! It's like herding cats around here. Aitan, can you call your boys and tell them that we're waiting for them? We're exactly 10. Thanks. How much for your fingers set with you? My son, where's it? Go ahead now. What are you doing? That's what I know. I say, I said, I'm not feeling fine, since I think I'm. Well, about you know, what you're. My dad's got to come and see the bathroom. Yeah. We'll just wait for it. No, Greg is coming in. He's the time. Do you have something there? People,
Ja, sen är det uppe i rätt och så tänkte jag det är något bara jag inte vill vara här. Jag vill slash med rabba.
Amen.
Jag måste bara för sig nu. Så det är skajtan med fan det bara så jag var man grupp. Amen.
We brought one for us.
Hey, så när de var väl land men jag är strax på svart. Det var så mycket säga. Vi står så lost my child. Bro. Det var min kabel så jag sa så så när man sa det med min mamma. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'levaseinu l'Evram v'yitzchak v'Yaakov Ha'elach dog above Yom V'astem tovim v'shoinei kol Zechech hasdevos Mevi go b'nei Manchma b'ava Mechazem shemagain Baruch atah Adonai Again Abraham Atah Gibral Monah Mechemis T'ov Ashia Mashibruch Mer Geshem Takachim Chesed and Chemis Rabben to make my flame go back on my tips around Cameron social now far. Ich mal bag was we don't laugh on this time as me show up. And I'm gonna flex my summer to the night. Okay, I say. You did some long same from teaching myself from around because so many vet because of that. It does, nice last month, but I'm so much in there. I work when I'm coming to the trucks of Lima. No, I'm saying hallelujah. The down again, the left next one second. This is on a case of calling pin on so bad. Mach it up with the shot of the night. Yeah, like I does. Drain over the chin, like what you meant, like sign of capital, that's the same, much matter. So, was that about the mother, the reference, seven, of the same, I found you in front of Kado, but still, look at my career before I mean. It's practice spot, it's perhaps the one we're going to say, it's obviously the slow fight shot, but who they love me call because I'm sure so, for something like myself, they remember, I mean, it's a bad so some of us on, so they shock, and I'm going to smile, I mean, yeah, somewhere on the spine, I'm going to show, I mean, oh, say, Sean, Rob, yes, that's all, man, we'll go show, no, man, let him sweat, no, נאמר, נאמר, הארץ במוין אחד, ושמעו אחד.
Amen.
Page 525, Mishaberach, Aboisenu, Hamamitz of Yaakov, Ivaret, Wait, Svagilan, Shabbat, Chikoposa, Vitapon, Dimo, Mishmar, Saint Marin, later, Involvano, Barmicham, and Yamagado, Varavam, Kunakum, Shame, and the Shabbat, the Urbayan, Mitena, the United Savano, Coming, the Sim of the Ham, the village for Hoyishmor, the Tilis, Eileen, the concern to God, or Nagamak, Shah, Farats of Homa, say they have. The bears and the new top and the Macabre, sure, but it's a fun of the end and Cassus. Gather now, and I'm all in my family, she is hanging my name. We should bear for every saying of every to be up and say, no, sure, double show. We were at least more being source and trades, organized, which we have this talk, anyone is to the service shipping. Before she called confidential and small about the animal, the for a my rough in the moment. It's a portion with some of us must have saying to take. Because the English image of America, which will say, I'm going to have to be for somebody down the endemic Rashi consumes to you. And I should wrote summary now, some hustle, my roach himself, and some years, the governor, and I'm
One festival of public, she met an name, going Who is a name for
Taking a breath in all that.
Five K to make my comment in bed, but then I my river will be.
I'm so busy.
Campaign over Shemaine, and the gay one Palala, Hobson and members, but then I have a more use your my trail. You're gonna have fun. That's enough to call You know, I say, my best. So we're selling Kibble Lake. I should finish off on the shrubs, flower bob, I'm real full. Well, I'll close over now. Okay, my Moshe, Eli, I know be a move. ونعم عاكي فانا شاكو هم يعكسوا بمنا واختدنا يا إسرائيل مش ما تسين هو بين خيم وشوم تبرلام اختدنا اسمع إسرائيل Self slash Maraba, the mother breakfast 7 point me from Carnival Israel, was my current on main. Marab Marcolon, then my eyes struck Shabbat, his power months to say, it's a dog of the slot point child. Ella McCall, because I was sure something like myself in my mouth and raw man. Shabstas, Mirabah, Yamad, the reference 7, Hoseb, Chaychon, Michon, Chad, Chabeshua, the Ghost Mine Curb, Romain, Yehish, and Rabban Rafalam, and my eyes, Prakti Shabbat, his Pavis Mamish Nasev, Stabis Levis Lost My Child, the 11 Kalkos of Sure Saj, of Sabnak Masad, Mim Mab, Romain, Skabel, Sosad, Vohon, the Hobe Shock, the Movement Schmab, Romain, Yehish, and Rabban Schmab, Chaim, Lane, Vakoshav, Romain. Oseh Shalom Mov, Yaseh Shalom, Len Vakoshav, Romain, Len Special, I don't know. Mema, boy, no, no, Dolores, can we near Hadish Moracha?
Amen.
She loved this part of this morning, the status, the darkness, the latest, the wash, make good shop.
Great.
They long talk the song, share songs, and trust some of the come son, down around the love, being brutal.
Amen.
Next one, bro, she might have a high name, and told us from the world name.
Amen.
Everybody have an amazing day.